Documentaries banned for being too disturbing. The day in the life of SmugAlana banned for being too cool.
Can a documentary be so real, so terrifying that it gets banned? Well, many documentary films have been banned for that exact reason. But it makes you wonder, what's in those documentaries that makes them too disturbing to watch? These are documentaries banned for being too disturbing, ranked from the least shocking to the most shocking. I'm Visual Venture, and you are awesome.
We should watch them, all of them. Yeah, we should watch all of them. Too disturbing. It's October, we gotta get spooky.
Mondo Cane. When Mondo Cane came out, it was called the world's first shockumentary, and that wasn't a compliment.
I've never heard of it.
Shockumentary is a documentary meant to shock and disgust its audience. The more disgusted the audience is, the better the shockumentary. So the question is, what was in Mondo Cane that made it so disgusting?
Mondo Cane is a spectacle as big as the eye can see.
Mondo Cane was produced in 1962 by a team of Italian filmmakers. Initially,
oh jeez, why is it the Italians that make scary stuff? Isn't it an Italian snuff film too? Or is it
they told
Serbian?
everyone that they were making a documentary about different cultures around the world. That sounded innocent enough. However, people began to realize that this was no ordinary documentary when they first heard the title Mondo Cane. Mondo Cane is an Italian phrase that literally translates to dog world. But it wasn't just about the dogs, it had a much darker meaning. The director titled the documentary Dog World to show that humans can be just as wild and cruel as animals.
Is he wrong for that though? I mean, like, every day we get oversaturated with how horrible people are now, and this is in 1962. I feel like if you release this today, people would be like, yeah, and? Yeah, what's up? I could go on Twitter and see someone's head explode, like, yeah, it sucks, it is what it is. Yeah, he's not wrong. I don't think this is even, like, outrageous.
In this case, dog world meant a harsh world where people acted like beasts. Kind of like saying a dog-eat-dog world. Mondo Cane wasn't just about different cultures from around the world. It focused on the most violent and disturbing practices. It was a collection of footage displaying mankind at its most depraved and perverse. Once the documentary was ready, posters popped up all over Italy, inviting people to watch it in theaters.
Hurry, hurry, hurry! They're just in time, friends, to see the most sensational, the most colossal attack ever witnessed by the human eye.
Even though the ads warned about how unsettling the movie was, people wanted to see it for themselves. But they weren't ready for what they witnessed when Mondo Cane finally aired in theaters. The film premiered in Italy on March 30th, 1962.
Enter 100 incredible worlds where the camera has never gone before. 1962. The baby boomers were around about that time.
And it was 108 minutes of non-stop shock. It showed the filmmakers traveling the world, capturing the most gruesome footage from different tribes. The documentary opened with a chilling disclaimer. All the scenes that you will see in this film are true. If they are shocking, it's only because there are many shocking things in this world.
The clickbait of its epoch? I don't think it's clickbait because back then, a lot of things were censored in media. I don't think this is clickbait. If you showed this to your grandparents, like, back then, they would have been shocked as, like, 18-year-olds. Now, if you're 18 years old, you can, at a click of the button, you can see gore. I think we're kind of desensitized as a species. Truth be told.
The duty of a reporter is not to make the truth seem sweeter, but to show things as they really are.
And they weren't kidding. In one scene, women were fattened up with food until they weighed over 264 pounds.
Only 260 pounds? Damn, this really is 1962. Damn! I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. That's just an American buffet. What do you mean?
Then they were offered as wives to the village dictator. There was a religious ceremony where villagers walked in a parade while holding live snakes. Another scene showed people burning money during a funeral so the deceased person could take the money into the afterlife.
Okay, that's their cult. Why is this shocking? I don't know. Is that weird? Am I weird? Am I desensitized? I think that's kind of like, okay.
Here, after hundreds of dark centuries, men discover for the first time in their lives that they have a doubt.
Whoa.
The film also included scenes of animals being treated badly. Mondo Cane definitely delivered on its promise.
Yeah.
It was shocking, disgusting, and soon everyone was talking about it.
Mondo Cane.
Mondo Cane.
People all over the world are talking about Mondo Cane.
Mondo
For
Cane.
Mondo Cane has more in it to
I keep thinking he's saying Cunny. Where, Cunny? Where?
talk about than any
Where's
picture
Saba?
ever before
Where's
seen.
she?
But the same thing that made the documentary famous also led to its downfall. When Mondo Cane became the talk of the town, it also generated a lot of controversy. The first problem? Critics hated it. They called it gross and uncivilized. And with very graphic scenes, it's easy to see why. But that wasn't the only issue. Soon, people started to wonder if everything in the documentary was actually real. There were rumors that some scenes were staged or edited to make things look worse than they really were. The filmmakers were also accused of exploiting the tribes they filmed. Critics said they were only showing this footage to make money without caring about the cultures they were showing. And as more people
But you're not making them do it. You're just filming them. Seems kind of hypocritical a bit. I don't know.
watched it, the backlash.
You know, in Papua New Guinea, like, there's people that still eat people, you know? Like, it's not about glorifying, it's just about being educated.
Got stronger. Many countries banned the documentary. For instance, Mondo Cane was banned in the UK because some scenes showed animals being treated inappropriately.
I can't stand that, but I can't stand that because it's like the argument is it's like it's happening, but like you could stop it because it's like another person is doing it. Whereas if you argue and say, oh, well, another animal is killing an animal, you're supposed to intervene. It's like, no, because you're filming a nature documentary. This isn't a nature documentary. It's a documentary in and of itself. Yeah, I think this is fucked up. I'll say that.
The filmmakers defended their work, saying that they were just showing the world as it really is. Now, more than 60 years later, Mondo Cane is still one of the most disturbing documentaries ever made. And
you can't fight animal abuse by pretending it isn't happening? Yeah, I don't know. This is like a moral dilemma thing. It's like, yeah, of course it's happening. Like, I remember when I was like 15 years old, I accidentally looked at, a video, I won't be too graphic, but basically it was like cat abuse, and it like fucking set me off. Like, it made me so upset. I still think about it, and I think it still makes me really angry. And it's like, I know that happens, and it makes me love animals even more. I'm not gonna say what it was, because it was really graphic. It was horrible. Yeah.
Still banned in many places to this day. This audience review on Rotten Tomatoes says it best. This is still the quintessential shockumentary. If you have a strong stomach, watch this flick, but if you have any hesitations, hold back. Mondo Cane was so strange that people called it crazy, but this next documentary actually featured people who were diagnosed as crazy. Mondo Cane and these documentaries to come show us an unsettling view of the world. When the world feels overwhelming, something as simple as enjoying a meal without the stress of cooking can make all the difference. Be honest, guys, I don't cook. I mean, I guess if you count cereal, but for actual meals, Factor is a lifesaver. Factor delivers chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals right to your door. You can choose from over 35 different meals per week with options like keto, calorie smart, vegan, and more. Something that I think is really cool is that they now offer smoothies and juices. In my opinion, smoothies are the quickest way to get a lot of nutrients in your body with the least amount of effort. And I am all about the least amount of effort. Creating these videos for you guys is practically a job I do almost every waking hour, 7 days a week. So warming up a well-balanced, nutritious meal to be ready in 2 minutes comes in clutch. And with
I wouldn't microwave that shit. I would put it in the stove. I would put it on the stove. A Microwaving is a big mistake, in my
Christmas
opinion.
around the corner, it makes a great Christmas present, especially to your friends and family who are too busy to cook. Make sure you guys click my link below to get 50% off and free shipping on your first Factor box, and 20% off your next month of orders with my discount code VISUAL50. Big thanks to Factor for sponsoring this video. Titicut Follies. Imagine spending 29 days inside a mental hospital in the 60s filming everything you see. That's what happened in...
A lot of shit happened in the 60s, man. I forget that it's been like that long, huh?
1966, when the crew of Titicut Follies recorded 80 hours of raw footage showing what happens inside a mental hospital. But before the public could see what they filmed, the documentary was banned. There were powerful men who tried so hard to keep this documentary buried. But why? The story of Titicut Follies started in
Next, let's go. Quincy.
Bridgewater wasn't just any hospital. It held patients who committed crimes but also had serious mental illnesses, making it hard for them to understand right from wrong. Instead of going to regular prisons, they were...
Let me guess, they found out that the hospital staff are being horrible to them.
Sent to places like Bridgewater to get treatment. This meant the inmates were dangerous criminals. But when the cameras started rolling, the crew was shocked at how helpless these so-called dangerous criminals really were. Bridgewater Hospital was run more like a prison than a hospital. Instead of being treated, the inmates were bullied, humiliated, and neglected by the staff. The inmates were also left in unhygienic conditions. It was clear that the staff had no sympathy for them. One of the most haunting...
Why did they let them film? That's what I don't understand. Like, what did they think was gonna happen?
Scenes in the documentary showed an inmate being force-fed while a guard made fun of him. Wiseman tried to stay professional even though what he saw deeply disturbed him. The way the patients were treated was wrong, but the staff didn't seem to care that the camera was catching all of it.
That's horrible, man.
With the help of cameraman John Marshall, the two-man team recorded interviews between patients and staff, daily rituals such as the cleaning of patients' rooms, and interactions between the inmates.
The crew spent 29 days filming the horrors inside Bridgewater and then spent a year editing the footage into an 84-minute film. The documentary
and then they realized, the staff realized, like, this is gonna make me look bad. Yeah, I don't know.
Didn't have any narration, interviews, or explanations. It just showed what life was really like inside the
That's true journalism, though.
Hospital, leaving it up to the viewer to make sense of it. When the documentary was finally ready, Wiseman couldn't wait for people to see the truth about Bridgewater. He arranged for it to be premiered at the 1967 New York Film Festival. Everything was set to go, but then, just before the premiere, something unexpected happened. A powerful group suddenly showed up and tried to stop the documentary from being shown to the public.
No way!
As the
People with power?
date approached, rumors started spreading that Titicut Follies contained unsettling footage of the patients being mistreated. That's when the Massachusetts government realized they could be in big trouble. If people saw the horrible things happening in the film, families of the inmates might sue them. After all, it was the government's job to make sure
people always gripe and say, like, oh, America sues over everything. It's like, yeah, in some countries you just never get any justice out of it at all. Like, it's a double-edged sword. You can sue for everything in America, but, like, at the end of the day, would you rather be able to sue everyone for everything and lose, or sue and at least get some compensation back? This is awful, man.
Hospital was running properly. And so the Massachusetts governor and other top officials took the film to court to prevent it from being shown. Their official reason, they said the documentary violated the patient's privacy and dignity. They also accused Wiseman of breaking an oral contract that was supposed to give the government control over what could be shown. But the director Wiseman wasn't going to give up easily. He wanted the world to see what really happened in the hospital, and he was ready to fight for it. And remember, he was a lawyer before he became a filmmaker. This kicked off a long legal battle between one filmmaker and the Massachusetts government.
That's so
Wiseman won the first victory when a New York state court allowed the documentary to be shown at the film festival. But ultimately, he was no match for the might of the Massachusetts government. In 1968, a Massachusetts judge ordered Titicut Follies to be pulled from theaters and for all copies
Well, I'm gonna go to a different state then, motherfucker.
to be destroyed, claiming once again that it violated the privacy and dignity of the patients shown in the documentary. This was the first time a movie got banned in the United States for reasons other than obscenity, immorality, or national security concerns. It wasn't until over 20 years later, in 1991, that the court finally allowed it to be released. But there was one condition. The film had to include a statement explaining that changes and improvements had been made in Bridgewater since 1966.
That's cap.
The War Game. The War Game wasn't just a documentary, it was a warning. Made in 1965, it showed what might happen if a nuclear bomb hit the United Kingdom. The documentary wasn't just about the explosion, it was about the chaos that would follow, the hunger, the violence, and the collapse of law and order. Because a nuclear attack never hit Britain, the director, Peter Watkins, had to use his imagination when making the documentary. He envisioned how the government would respond,
But that's not a documentary, you're just acting it out. Yeah, what?
People would react and what the aftermath would look like after
it's acting, like it's not real.
Nuclear attack. So why would someone make a documentary like this? Most documentaries are made because the director is passionate about the topic, but this one was different. Peter Watkins, the director, didn't want to make a film about a nuclear attack. His bosses at the BBC made him do it. The BBC, or British Broadcasting Corporation, was like the official TV network of Britain. Their job was to keep people informed. In 1965, the British public was worried about what would happen if a nuclear bomb hit the United Kingdom. In response to these fears, the BBC asked filmmaker Peter Watkins to create a documentary that would explore this terrifying possibility. The BBC didn't just want to talk about what could happen, they wanted to show it. It seemed like a good idea at the time, but things didn't go as planned. Because the documentary Peter Watkins created was so terrifying, it was banned. Peter Watkins, who was only 29, was one of the best documentary filmmakers in Britain. He was so talented that people said he could make films in the same sort of way that Mozart could compose music. In other words, Peter Watkins was a genius. When the BBC ordered Watkins to make a scary documentary about a nuclear attack, he took it very seriously, maybe too seriously. He worked with scientists, experts, and government officials to make the war game as realistic as possible.
But that's not a documentary, it's a movie. You can make a movie that's about a fictional setting, like it's a hypothetical. I feel like this doesn't qualify. And also, why are people banning it? Is it just fear-mongering?
9:16 a.m. A single megaton nuclear missile overshoots Manston Airfield in Kent and airbursts 6 miles from this position.
Was it too scary for the public?
The documentary showed people hiding in fear, neighborhoods destroyed, and people becoming ill. There were also scenes of citizens looting shops, firestorms, and whole cities reduced to rubble. Food supplies run out and the police are armed. Even those who escape injury go into a state of fear and shock from the things they've seen. Throughout the documentary, a narrator explains how these events could really happen if a nuclear war occurred.
December the 25th. A refugee compound in Dover, Kent.
These people are just acting, though. You go to license to make that film. I bet it got banned because it scared the public because it was too realistic. Yeah, it's not even like a thing of like, oh, it's a snuff film or it's something horrible. It's like literally like, oh, it's too scary. We can't have people being scared.
4 months after the attack.
Watkins worked hard on the project. He used 350 actors, skilled video editing, and dramatic sound effects to create a masterpiece. When Watkins finished the War Game documentary, he proudly presented it to his bosses at the BBC. He thought they'd be impressed, and maybe even reward him for doing such a great job, but the response he got was much harsher. The BBC, who asked him to make the film, refused to air it on TV. They decided to bury the documentary to make sure no one—
That is some pussy shit right there.
Saw it. The official reason for this decision, they claimed the documentary was too terrifying and would cause—
I told you. I told you.
Panic among the public. In an official statement, the BBC insisted that it had reached this decision on its own and without outside pressure of any kind. Watkins was devastated, but there was nothing he could do because the BBC owned the rights to the video. Watkins was so upset that he resigned. However, people started to wonder if the BBC's reason was the whole truth. Was it really banned for being too scary, or was there more to it? Will declassified government documents later reveal the truth? After Watkins completed the documentary, he handed it over to the BBC. The BBC then invited top British government officials to watch it before it was shown on television.
And it was still too
this turned
scary,
out to be a huge mistake because the government officials hated it. Because
it makes them look bad. What?
Documentary showed the British government completely falling apart during a nuclear attack.
Oh my god. Dude, the censorship is unreal, even back then.
Able to help citizens.
That's crazy.
It made the government look weak and unprepared. If the British public saw the movie, they would lose faith in the government's ability to...
Dude, thank God we live in America, man. At least you can make fun of people and like make fun of the government no matter who, man.
Protect them.
Good
the
Lord,
declassified documents revealed that even the Prime Minister of Britain heard about the documentary and didn't like it. And so the government pressured the BBC to keep the documentary hidden from the entire country. Although the BBC couldn't air it on British TV, they allowed the documentary to be shown at several film festivals abroad. For 20 years, the ban on the war game stayed in place. It wasn't until 1985, about 20 years later, that the BBC finally aired it on TV. In those 2 decades, the war game became legendary. People heard it through word of mouth and wanted to see what was so terrifying about it that it couldn't be shown on television. Today,
no, you can't. Trump hates being made fun of. I'm so fucking tilted by the fact that you even typed that in my chat, because that's so fucking retarded. You don't get banned, and you don't get banned on Twitter for saying that. People made fun of Biden. They made fun of Kamala. They made fun of George Bush for throwing shoes at people. You don't get banned for that. Rage bait? It's not rage bait. I've seen it constantly, man. I think that's such a stupid thing to say. It's not. People can call me a retard. It's free speech.
Today, the war game has a score of 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, which just proves how amazing it is. This next
people called George Bush low IQ because he held a kid's book upside down, and the people the people were losing their fucking minds. The guy who threw the shoe at him got locked up in jail, though. Okay, let me look it up. Hold on. George W. Bush thrown shoe. Where was it? Where was this? Iraqi journalist. It was in Baghdad. Yeah, it wasn't in America. So your argument is still wrong because it didn't happen in America. Also, throwing a shoe at someone is considered violent, so I don't know. Even then, I mean, yeah.
Documentary was so dangerous that the entire crew almost lost their lives.
Even if you take that at face value.
The Cove is a disturbing documentary about a hidden cove in Taiji, Japan. A cove is kind of like a small beach surrounded by rocks or cliffs. But why make a documentary about this particular cove? It's because of the awful things that happen there.
What happened in the cove, bro?
Worst nightmare. Right
what? The cove?
Every year, fishermen drive dolphins into the secret cove.
Oh no, I've heard about this. This is awful.
Once trapped, the dolphins are captured.
Heard about
the lucky ones are sold to marine parks around the world. But for the dolphins that aren't sold, a much darker fate awaits them. They're harvested for their meat, which is then sold as food. But dolphins are highly intelligent and social creatures, and many people believe they shouldn't be eaten. In fact, many organizations have banned the hunting of all dolphins. Also, the method of hunting in Taiji is considered exceptionally cruel. However, each year the dolphin hunt continues in this cove, and thousands are captured using brutal methods. The fishermen of Taiji didn't want anyone.
And again, you could always argue and say like, oh, well, if you weren't aware of this happening, then you wouldn't be, you know, so adamant for animal rights or whatever. Like, is there what's the moral line between documenting this kind of thing happening and making people aware of it and letting it happen because it's happening? Dolphins suck, but they don't deserve this. But humans suck. Do you think you should kill all humans? Like, guys, come on.
Finding out what they were doing, so they kept the cove under tight security. Armed men guarded the area, and they wouldn't hesitate to take anyone out who tried to get in. The cove was also surrounded by wire fences and keep out signs.
You'll see the signs, keep out, danger.
I think this sucks.
There are fishermen walking around these hills with knives.
On many occasions, local fishermen have gotten physical with journalists who try to record what goes on in the cove.
I bet.
Even the local police helped hide what was going on.
The fishermen told me, they said if the world finds out what goes on here, we'll be shut down.
For decades, this cruel hunt was kept a secret from the world. That was—
I wonder what, like, actual, you know, what native Japanese people think of this. Do they know about this? What would they think of this? Like, let's take a step back and think about, like, culturally speaking, and say, like, what would actual Japanese people think of this? Not the gaijin that are, like, criticizing them from an outside perspective.
Until dolphin activist Rick O'Berry heard about it. He wanted the world to know how dolphins were being treated in Japan.
I feel like they would say
something. Would he risk his life to expose the truth? Rick O'Berry wasn't always a dolphin activist. In fact, he was once the guy who made dolphins popular on TV. In the 1960s, Rick trained dolphins for the TV show Flipper. He spent years teaching dolphins to perform tricks and entertain crowds. But everything changed after one of his beloved dolphins passed away. Rick realized that keeping dolphins in captivity was cruel, and he dedicated his life to freeing them. When Rick and his team of activists found out about the dolphin hunt in Taiji, they decided to make a documentary exposing the truth. But they knew it wasn't going to be easy.
See, I had no idea, Chet.
Japan is very fierce in protecting its secret.
Rick O'Berry and his team knew they couldn't just stroll in with their cameras. To get footage for their documentary, they would need to act like spies in a Hollywood movie. So they came up with a plan. Rick recruited an elite force of specialist divers, surfers, and underwater cameramen and special effects creators in order to expose the cove. Rick and his team entered Japan pretending to be tourists, blending in to avoid suspicion.
Special effects?
Once they reached the town of
for?
Taiji, they executed the toughest part of their plan.
So we've snuck in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
We set the cameras. These are prototypes of the first hard drive cameras ever made. We set those in the cove, and my team went to bed.
The divers moved through the water quickly, placing hidden cameras disguised as rocks around the cove in the middle of the night. They also set up high-tech gear like underwater microphones to capture the sound
The fact that you have to go through so much to expose them shows that they're actually hiding something nefarious. I feel like if you're not doing something so horrible, you wouldn't be so, like, secretive about it, no?
The hunt.
That's crazy.
And I was hanging from a rope with black paint on like a ninja. And then we had to come back the next night to retrieve them. When I was hanging from the rope, I had a camera, so I'm watching it through the lens.
See, this is documentary,
The footage from the hidden cameras showed hundreds of dolphins being captured, and it was so brutal that it was hard to watch. But the footage didn't just capture the hunt. It also exposed something else too. The dolphin meat being sold in Japan was contaminated with high levels of mercury, which is dangerous. Eating meat contaminated with mercury over a long period can cause—
And see, that's the problem, is like there's people still buying the meat. It's like shark fin soup, and how they basically cut off the fin off the top of the shark, and the shark just dies after it gets thrown back in the water, and then there's people that consume it because it's their culture. Yeah, it sucks. Like, I don't know what the actual solution is for that, because it's like, it's their culture and people still buy it, so, like, I don't know, man.
Mercury poisoning, which can be fatal. When the Cove was released in 2009, the graphic scene showing dolphins being hunted made people sick. Viewers were angry, and activists demanded an end to dolphin hunting. But not everyone was happy that the documentary was out.
Yeah, I bet.
The film has drawn criticism in Japan from protesters labeling it anti-Japanese.
The government believed the documentary hurt their reputation and gave a false impression of their culture. Unlike many Western countries,
I mean, the West does horrible shit too. Let's not get it twisted. Like, what? I think that every country should be able to be criticized.
Dolphin hunting wasn't illegal in Japan. Fishermen in Taiji also argued that the film was an attack on their way of life. Due to all the backlash, the documentary was unofficially banned in Japan. Whenever a
But here's the thing. People used to club seals as well. I still think they do, don't they? I don't think it's ethical to club seals to death. I think hunting them is more ethical if it's like, you know, done in actual practice. I don't know. This goes into like morals and ethics and culture. Oh, such a headache.
Screening was planned, protesters would show up and force the event to be canceled. You could argue that hunting is unethical in general. Some politicians even threatened people trying to show it in theaters. On top of that, the company with the rights to air the documentary in Japan got sued by someone in the film. But eventually, a few theaters in Japan managed to show the documentary. Unfortunately, dolphin hunting still happens in Taiji today, but the Cove shined a spotlight on the issue. The next documentary was so controversial that it angered one of the world's most ruthless dictators. Now, the creators of the film have to live in fear. The Red Chapel. Speech can lead to—
Oh my god! Killed by anti-aircraft gunfire. With hundreds watching at a shooting range, chat. Like, remember what I said earlier about how in America you can say things? Like, come on, man. Don't be fucking ridiculous. Don't act like we're the fucking dictatorship where we get where this happens.
Filmmakers knew they couldn't tell the truth, so they lied. They pretended to be part of a cultural exchange program, claiming that they were bringing a fun comedy show to entertain the North Korean people. They also expressed how much they admired the North Korean dictator.
Two Danish-Korean comedians, and they have come here to give pleasure to your people and pay tribute to your powerful and wonderful society.
Surprisingly, the North Korean government let them in. But from the moment they arrived, it was clear things wouldn't go as planned. The North Korean government, suspicious of foreigners, kept a close eye on the group and controlled their every move. They were assigned a handler named Mrs. Pak, who made sure they only saw what the government wanted them to see. And the most difficult part was that they had to perform an actual comedy show.
A cat.
Pussy or with.
In English, you can say pussycat or cat. It's you know a cat. Pussy. Meow.
Meow. Pussy.
But they also had to film a documentary. So they told the government handler that they were recording their trip to show the world how great North Korea was. But in reality, they planned to use their footage to expose how tough life was in that country. This was incredibly risky. If the government discovered their real plan, the filmmakers could be thrown in prison or worse. They performed their comedy act, taking every chance to film situations that revealed the harsh reality of life in North Korea. However, as they kept filming, they started to wonder if they were doing the right thing. They realized they were putting North Korean citizens in danger just by talking to them. Because if anyone was caught—
Actually, really good point. Yeah.
saying something bad about the government, they could face severe punishment. After finishing their comedy performances, they left North Korea and turned their footage into the documentary The Red Chapel. It was shown at multiple film festivals and got a lot of praise. But obviously not everyone was happy about it. The Red Chapel was banned in North Korea for mocking the regime. North Korean officials accused the director of lying to get into their country and even called him an animal. Even though the Red Chapel was still banned in North Korea, it won multiple awards around the world. The topic of our next documentary is something that affects everyone. I've never heard of it. Maybe we should watch it sometime. The way it was filmed was so graphic that people were too afraid to watch it. The act of seeing with one's own eyes. Have you ever wondered what happens to your physical body when you pass away? This documentary tried to answer that question, but ended up creating one of the most disturbing documentaries.
I will never die. I will go into the ethos and become the eternal VTuber and become an AI.
Ever made. Entitled The Act of Seeing with One's Own Eyes, the documentary takes viewers to a place most would never dare to go, a morgue. And the camera keeps filming as real autopsies are performed.
I think morgues and stuff like that is like a private matter. People don't really experience it.
on real
Unless,
bodies.
like, you know, they
So
pass
why would
away or
someone
something, or
make
the
a
parents go
documentary
pass
showing
away?
real autopsies? It starts to make sense once you learn more about the guy who made it. The director, Stan Brakhage, wasn't your average filmmaker. He was an experimental filmmaker known for breaking the rules. Stan loved to talk about deep topics that pushed people out of their comfort zones. In 1971, Stan decided to make a documentary about autopsies because he believed people needed to face the harsh reality that everyone one day would pass away. The title, The Act of Seeing with One's Own Eyes, is a literal translation of the term autopsy. The word autopsy is derived from the Greek autopsia, meaning to see for oneself. But how did he get permission to film a morgue? Today, this would be almost impossible, but in 1971, when Stan made the film, things were different. He somehow convinced a morgue in Pittsburgh to let him film the autopsies. However, Stan had to promise not to show the faces of the deceased. In the documentary, Brakhage shows morgue workers performing autopsies. There's no music, no narration, no explanation, just raw graphic footage of what really happened. Because the footage was so graphic, the documentary couldn't be shown.
When I was in college, I had to go to a museum where it's like actual brains and lungs of real people that donated their body for science. I don't know. It's like it was always like a show of respect, and you had to be respectful in the museum or like the section of the college. You're lucky. I mean, I thought it was interesting. It's all clean and sanitized, none of the blood and gore. Yes, you're right. But if you watch a video about autopsies, like, shouldn't you know that there's blood and gore in it? I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this one.
To the general public. Censorship boards thought it was too disturbing and would upset the audience. Without narration.
But the person doing it is also having to do this action. I don't know, like, that's on you. Watch surgeries? Yeah, I mean, it's not the same thing, but they're dead. It's not like they're disrespecting the body, are they? They're analyzing it and figuring out what happened to them when they died. Yeah. There's a difference between knowing that it's bloody and seeing a person get opened. But if you're of the age of being an adult and you consciously make the decision to see a video that specifically says that you are watching an autopsy video, wouldn't you, like, there's no music play, there's no talking, it's just a video. Like, isn't that, I don't know, I feel like that's just life. I'm not saying we should show it at schools or something. Like, I'm just saying you make the conscious decision to do that.
Or educational content, people couldn't really see it as a typical documentary. Maybe if it had some explanations or scientific information, it would have been considered educational. Since most theaters refused to show it, the act of seeing with one's own eyes was screened mostly at film festivals.
I think it's more of a moral dilemma. If you're not actually, like, learning anything, I guess you could say that it's not useful. Yeah. I don't know, I guess that's the reason why it would be. Yeah, it should be shown for medical school.
Private events. Over time, it became known as one of the most unsettling documentaries ever made. Calling this next documentary horrifying doesn't do it justice. It's one of the worst things ever caught on film. Cannibal Holocaust.
Whoa.
Imagine a documentary so shocking that the director was arrested for making it. And the crazy part, he was arrested because people thought he ended someone's life live on camera. The documentary at the center of all this drama was called Cannibal Holocaust. So,
Italiano Directino.
Why did the director create something so controversial? It all started back in 1979 when an American film crew set out to make a documentary about the tribes living deep in the Amazon rainforest. But there was something especially dangerous about the tribe they wanted to investigate. They were cannibals. It wasn't the smartest idea to wander into a forest looking for a tribe known for eating people, but
I feel like it's kind of a skill issue if you go to a tribe that's known to, like, eat people and they probably don't have a lot of contact with other people and you get eaten. I feel like it's kind of natural selection. Like, I don't know.
That's exactly what these filmmakers did. The team made up of a director, a writer, and 2 cameramen.
I wouldn't be mad at the tribe. I'd be like, you know, like, such is life. You went to a deserted freaking jungle with cannibals. You were warned. It's not like you wandered in there. Even if you wandered in there, it's kind of like, well, I mean, you know, sucks to suck. This happens.
Traveled from the U.S. and began their journey through the thick Amazon
You can call me mean, I'm just being honest.
It didn't end well. Those 4 documentary filmmakers were never heard from again.
I mean, you went in there knowing. I don't know.
People assumed the worst, that they were captured and eaten by the tribe they went to film. But others believed the filmmakers might still be alive, lost somewhere in the jungle.
4 Americans plunge into the savagery of the Amazon jungle to film a documentary. They never come back. Are they still alive? If so, where are they?
Whoa,
months later, an American professor formed a rescue team to track down the missing
and then they got eaten too. I'm kidding. It's a joke. I don't know.
Filmmakers in the Amazon forest.
Why would you do that? Yes.
Any hope of finding them alive vanished when the rescue team found the skeletal remains of the filmmakers with their film reels in the forest. The rescue team brought the reels back to America and watched the footage, but nothing could prepare them for what they saw. The tapes revealed in gruesome detail how the filmmakers were taken out by the tribes they went to study. Yet after seeing this horrifying footage, the team made a bizarre decision. They decided to release the film to the public.
No, that's fucked up. I'm putting my foot down on that. No, that's terrible. That's terrible. If that's real and that's like you, like I don't know. It's the kind of same thing as like, oh, if you're getting swatted and then you get killed on live stream, it's fake. Oh, it's fake. Okay, then never mind. If it's fake, then fine. I'm talking about like actual death. It was a good fake. Well, I mean, objectively good. I don't know, but they tried to arrest the director, but it's not real. Okay, well, whatever. Bro over here spreading misinformation. Well, let him cook. I'll let him cook. Hold on. Chat, before we say anything, let him cook.
Cannibal Holocaust didn't hold back. It shocked audiences with its graphic scenes showing the filmmakers losing their lives. At the premiere, people were horrified. Many couldn't sit through the whole thing. After its release in 1980, the documentary quickly was banned in over 50 countries because of its content. But here's the twist. There was something viewers didn't realize. It was a fake documentary. Everything was staged. The whole thing was actually a movie made to look like a documentary. The director even promoted it as a documentary and used a found footage style of filmmaking to make viewers feel like they were watching real
Blair Witch Project. Yeah.
Events.
That's crazy.
By appropriating the techniques of the documentary world, Deodato had skillfully persuaded audiences into thinking they were watching real, uncut scenes.
When the director announced that it was all fake, it surprisingly made the situation far worse because people refused to believe that it was fake. The scenes were so realistic that viewers thought the actors who lost their lives in the film were actually killed.
But then they were alive the whole time.
The way they faked that scene and other scenes in the movie were, something that Hollywood special effects guys probably couldn't duplicate with millions of dollars.
Things got so serious that the police stepped in. The director was arrested by Italian authorities and charged with murder. Even though he tried to explain that it was just a movie, the cops didn't buy it. They planned to use the film as proof that he was guilty. And it didn't help that the director made the actors sign contracts to not go out in public for a year.
That is just cruel.
After the film's release, all to make it seem like it was a real documentary. To avoid a life sentence, the director Deodato had to bring the actors to court to prove that they were still alive and explained how he used special effects to fake the deaths.
See, this is such a morally gray area because it's like you're glorifying the death, but it turns out to be fake and nobody actually got hurt. I saw that was animal cruelty in there. I did see that. However, that's horrible. They definitely should have put him in jail for that.
Also appeared on an Italian TV show together to prove to the entire country that they were in fact alive.
Deodato was pretty much a genius at the way he tried to fool the audience with the camera running out of film and stuff like that. Yeah, he was very clever.
Even the native tribe shown in the movie wasn't real. Many of the so-called natives were just local actors hired from nearby towns.
Wow.
The backstory was fake too. No filmmakers were lost in the Amazon and no rescue mission was ever launched. It was all just a stunt to get people to watch this movie. The problem was that it worked so well that Deodato almost went to prison for life.
As unpleasant as the film is and as crude as it is, you know, he does have a pretty good grip of the cinematic technique.
So why did Deodato make such a controversial film? He had a reason, though it didn't exactly make sense. He claimed he wanted to criticize how the media
is exposing people's desire for radical shock content or just glorifying death. Yeah, I could, again, this is just such a, like, kind of like a touchy, gray moral area subject where it's like, you know how people do anything for views, like streaming, and then they see something and they would want to replicate it for real because it's like, people will want to see that and it's like clout, you know? That, yeah, I could absolutely see you could make that argument as well. It's scary to think about, even if this is fake, you know?
Sensationalizes crime and violence to boost ratings. Deodato accused Italian news of showing real violent footage just for attention, and he wanted to show how wrong that was. But his explanation didn't calm people down. The violent scenes were too realistic that it remained banned in over 50 countries, even though everyone knew it was a movie. Earthlings. Living beings, not just objects, and they deserve kindness and respect. Many who watch Earthlings were inspired to change their lifestyles, opting for vegan diets or avoiding products tested on animals. Because of its graphic content,
I saw some really sad stuff. You know how beagles, they're perfect test animals because they're so sweet and complacent? They're like the nicest breed ever. That shit breaks my heart. They like test them with like, you know, makeup and the things that make them upset, like spraying them with the into the eyes. Yeah, I don't know. I prefer, again, if you have the means to do so, like, I get it, to purchase food that's ethically, you know, sourced, like an animal that doesn't. Sorry, I hate talking about animal cruelty because it makes me upset, but I guess it's like, it's such a sensitive topic that you should be aware of what happens, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think this is a shock for views kind of situation, it just makes you aware of what you're doing. I still eat burgers because they're too yummy. I do think about where my meat came from. I have changed a lot of things in my life after I found out certain things happening in real life. I don't think this is like a glorification.
Theaters and streaming services banned Earthlings because it was just too disturbing. However, the documentary found its audience online where people could watch it for free and share it with others. Today, Earthlings is considered one of the most popular documentaries ever made about the ethical treatment of animals. These documentaries show us just how dark the world can be. It's a reminder that sometimes the most unsettling truths are the ones we need to hear.
True.
Visual Venture. Wait, before you guys go, make sure you guys subscribe and then click here to watch more dark internet documentaries. We're on our way to 1 million subscribers. Let's go. Love you guys. Peace.
Love you guys. Peace. Well, I learned a lot today. Yeah. Go check out Visual Venture. I know, very unpleasant topic. I know, but such is life. We have to learn things. My chat and I are very mature people. We learned a lot today.